their time period is the best at everything. Case in point with one Anthony Edwards. As Edwards recently said, Michael Jordan's era had no skilled players outside of Jordan himself. Anthony Edwards once again proves you can be a great basketball player with tons of talent and still have awful takes regarding your sport. As saying in Jordan's era, he was a quote-unquote only a skilled player, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. As looking at the 80s and 90s, tons of skilled players who weren't named Michael Jordan. Of course, Larry Bird, great outside shooter, Magic Johnson, amazing passer, Isaiah Thomas had wicked handles, Dominique Wilkins, a fantastic finisher, and then Kareem with the iconic sky hook. I could go on for days and days and days looking at high skilled players in the 90s, 80s, even 1970s. But a couple guys I do want to look at, first off, is Grant Hill and Penny Hardaway. As look.
Yo, Real Handle Sports. Shout out to Uncut Hoops on doing a reaction to this. I like Ant-Man. What Ant-Man suffers from is media brainwashing, media propaganda. He don't know the history of the game. He's just a supreme talented player. Just because you're a talented player in the league don't mean you know the history of the league. It's tons of NBA players who clearly don't give a fuck about the past. Now it's NBA players like Gilbert Arenas who know the history of the league and they just continue to disrespect the history of the league. Gil is not casual. I hate when people say that Gil don't know basketball. No, Gil know basketball. He just has stupid ass reasonings why he feels the way he feels, in my opinion. I'm not a basketball savant like a Gilbert, like a NBA player or anything. The problem with YouTubers though, and I'm gonna do a video on my other channel, is that they think they know more than the NBA players, and I will do a video on that. But when Ant-Man comes out and says Michael Jordan was the only skilled player back in the day, you clearly can tell that he don't know nothing about that era. He said he didn't watch it, so why would you speak on it? So now Ant-Man has really made himself enemy number one. He's turned from the golden child, and now a lot of older cats probably gonna hit him up and, like, you know what I'm saying, I hope they hit him up and try to school him on the game, because I like Ant-Man. I like, you know what I'm saying, his aura and everything like that. I don't think he MJ or Kobe. I don't. I think he's Ant-Man. I think he got some similarities a little bit, but not too much.
As looking at these guys, they could have been the best players in league history. When discussing the 90s, kind of get lost in the shuffle forgotten and get highly underrated by current day fans, like Anthony Edwards. As looking at Penny Hardaway, this guy, in his prime before injuries, was absolutely unstoppable and phenomenal player. And being 6'7", could handle the ball, could shoot, could dunk on your head. I mean, Penny his day could do anything and everything.
Concentration in Gonzalez.
Look at that. Look at that
everything.
Move. Look at that move. Footwork was crazy. Shout out to Penny Hardaway, bro.
Gonzalez. Hardaway with the jumper. Hardaway putting the move on starts.
Look at him.
We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity.
Look at that. Just phenomenal.
Possible.
And looking past Penny, who once again is phenomenal, you have someone like Grant Hill. And Grant Hill's speed, ball handling, I mean, this guy...
My favorite, even though I lost some respect for him because of this Team USA stuff, my favorite Pistons player of all time, bro. I loved Grant Hill, bro. I'm going to get a Grant Hill jersey. That's coming soon.
In his prime, one of the best players to ever lace them up. And unfortunately got hurt, career was derailed, and never reached his full potential. But if he did, we're one of the best players of all time.
Yep.
Not even discussion.
Damn it, watch him cook Jordan.
That's not good.
Oh no, that's Pippen. But he used to cook Jordan too. Look at him, fucked him right up.
Guys like Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, you don't think of them immediately when it's just the 1990s. But anyone who watches film knows basketball wouldn't dare call those players unskilled. And when speaking about skill, who's the most skilled big man of all time? In my view, it's Hakeem Olajuwon and then everyone else. And the Dream, what makes him so special? His post moves, his footwork, it transcends time and space. As even guys in the 2020s like Sengun go to this guy for basic fundamentals and training. And back in the 2010s, all the big time superstars, they went to the Dream. Guys like Kobe, Dwight, Melo, even LeBron. All those guys saw Hakeem Olajuwon, who yes, played in the 1990s.
I've always watched players who've come before me. So, I like Hakeem Olajuwon taught me a lot about the post-up.
See? And that's the difference. Kobe respected the past. MJ respected the past players and learned from the past players. These players think they got a misconception of everything before 2010s. For real. Now y'all starting to disrespect the 2000s too. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? And they got a misconception that wasn't nobody skilled or this and that without even watching the games, without even doing their research. You had Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, and you had Drazen Petrovic in the past. You had Magic Johnson was skilled. Larry Bird, one of the most skilled players in his era. You had Damon Stoudemire. You had Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, the Steph Curry of the 90s. I mean, you had so many skilled players. So AI, who came out in the 90s, he wasn't skilled. Dirk, he wasn't skilled. Mitch Richmond, he wasn't skilled. He wasn't skilled. Like
Jordan, obviously, I learned a lot from him. And a lot of Jerry West. So I watched a lot of different players.
As you guys saw, Kobe right there had an immense respect for the past. Guys like West, Hakeem, and Jordan. And even go back further than that, guys like Oscar Robertson, Elgin Baylor. Kobe was a fan of those guys and studied their games. For the current era of superstars, the current crop of superstars, respecting the past, learning the past, is definitely a lost art. Few of them actually do. And when making cross-era comparisons, looking at skill, overall talent,
look at that.
Things like footwork, shooting, it's always very, very different.
Look, did y'all see that?
Skill, overall talent, things like footwork, shooting.
1,
it's always
2, 3.
Very, very
this nigga traveled. Bro, listen. They let Bron get away with that his whole career, bro. He been able to do so much traveling his whole fucking career, bro.
Difficult. Because the NBA rulebook, what they call, what they don't call, rules that are enforced, not enforced, these change decade to decade, sometimes even year to year. And looking at the current era, guys like James Harden, the step backs, the travels, the foul baiting things he did, wouldn't be allowed in the 90s, the 2000s, or even the early 2010s. And even someone like Anthony Edwards, who again I like as a player, gets a pretty lenient whistle with his travels, pivots, and up and unders.
Exactly. And that's the whole problem. They say wasn't nobody skilled back in the day, but get mad when people say that today's game is softer and less physical, which it is. The players, okay, you want to say the players more skilled today? Fine. I'll say the big man more skilled. I won't say the players as a whole. I'll say the big men are more skilled than they was back in the day. But it's also less physical. It's also tailored for the offensive player to score more points. You know what I'm saying? Less physical. I mean, you can breathe on somebody and get a foul nowadays. You feel me? Look at Joel Embiid. Look at James Harden. I go another one, Shea. Even though I think Shea would, look, Shea is a mid-range master. I think Shea would be alright. But these 90s takes are redundant, bro, and they don't make any sense. And I wish Kobe was here, bro. I wish Kobe Bryant was here to hear this bullshit they be saying. I wish Kobe had a podcast, bro. That would be one of the best podcasts, bro. I wish Kobe had one, bro.
I go on a heater like Nas Reed, a pick and roll and lob threat. As you see, I mean, I'm just.
Now, don't get me wrong. Ant-Man, nice. He nice, but he's lost. He don't know the history of the game, and that's gonna be his downfall.
That's been a streak of Houston's having a big negative switch.
See what I just thought I saw?
And the crazy thing is,
1, 2, 3, 4.
going crazy over this travel.
That nigga travel like a
mother. Basketball plays like that, they've become commonplace in Adam Silver's NBA. But looking back to the 90s, the early 2000s, those plays rarely, if ever, happened. And look, yes, travels, carries, they happen in every era. But in the current era, it is prevalent in every game, basically every possession. Whereas back in the 90s, they simply would not allow that. And guys palming the ball, carrying the ball, much more strict in that era. And when that changed, it was the late 90s. Guys like Iverson, Marbury, Francis, even Kobe. Those guys blurred the lines of and-one style and NBA basketball. And someone like Iverson early on was very polarizing for carrying the ball and getting away with traveling.
See if you think this is close to a carry. I mean, look at that. Lou Canales is sitting by. What do you got, Lou?
I wanted to add something on Iverson's move.
Listen, Iverson will be able to kill today because he will be able to do that move no problem at all. Hold on, my bad, y'all. They banned, or I think they tried to ban, or they banned AI crossover because it was too close to a carry. You know what I'm saying? Because they wasn't allowing you to palm the ball like that back in the 80s, 90s, and you know what I'm saying, early 2000s. It wasn't allow you to just palm the ball like this and, you know what I'm saying, do all of that. Which showing you, which is basically what a lot of these guards do today.
They have called it a number of times here in the league, and that's why the guy's averaging almost 5 turnovers a game.
Urban Hip Hop Atlanta is dropping its first cast album.
I want to put this album together.
My bad, y'all.
You can't make that move and not carry the ball.
Watching those plays right there from Iverson in today's league,
You wasn't able to do that in the 90s. They was questioning that, like, you can't do that. That's a carry. That was a carry, and that's nothing compared to what they do nowadays, like Uncut was saying.
but back in the late 90s, what Iverson was doing, it was highly controversial. And looking at players pre-Iverson, someone like a Tim Hardaway, Isaiah Thomas, those guys' crossovers, I wouldn't say it was robotic, but it was very fundamental, very quick, and very controlled. Iverson had that long crossover, borderline carrying the ball, that was popularized in the 2000s. Guys like Tim and Isaiah were much more restricted. And that right there is a big point of emphasis. So far in the 2020s, the rules have gotten super lenient. As someone like John Morant on every drive, carries, palms, does everything you could imagine.
Look at that.
And why is that?
That's a carry right there. Look what he did.
Carries, palms, just
Carry. That's a carry right there. He's palming the whole ball.
does everything you could imagine. And why is that?
Carry. You cannot do that. He went from this to he literally has the ball in his hand. That's a carry. in the 90s and the 80s and shit.
As offense scoring, it sells tickets, but fundamentals actually win games and championships. And of course, in this era, what do players actually value? Winning secondary. Making money looking cool, getting highlights.
What the fuck is this nigga wearing?
Individual brand, that's what matters. And one of the best coaches of all time is, of course, Gino Auriemma. And this guy makes it clear, kids today, players today, their individual ISO skills, their quote-unquote bag, is much better than players 25, 30 years ago. But as actual basketball players, they're not better team guys.
They're more talented than ever. They're better athletes than ever. They can do more things than kids 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But they're not better basketball players. And they have all these drills, though. They can do that. And they can do all these great things with the ball, one-on-one. The minute you put 4 other players out there and somebody playing defense, they look like they just saw a ghost, right?
So stopping Gino right there, what it comes down to, this era in the 2020s, late 2010s, we value things like having a bag, individual skills, and all these ISO moves. But at the end of the day, it's all flash, no substance. And for this era, once again, that's all that matters for a player, being considered skilled or a highly effective player. And I find a lot of times in discussing a player's skill, all we're talking about is three-point shooting and ball handling.
Yep.
And looking at past eras, again, the era...
And we forget rebounding is a skill, defense is a skill. We just talk about ball handling, we just talk about three-point shooting, you know what I'm saying? But they don't talk about defensive skill, how to move laterally, how to, you know what I'm saying, get over picks, how to deny blind pigs or ball screens, you know what I'm saying, how to block without fouling, how to be able to, you know what I'm saying, on-ball defense. That's a skill. I'll take, for instance, Jaylen Brown. His on-ball defense is a skill. I think Jaylen Brown is a skill player. His on-ball defense is a skill. I think he's a defensive skill player. But we don't mention nothing about that. Rebounding, we don't mention nothing about that. Rebounding is a skill. Not everybody can rebound the basketball. Larry Bird averaged more rebounds than a lot of these niggas for his career. He averaged 10 rebounds for a career. You're not going to tell me that getting a rebound is not a skill. You're not going to tell me that. So anybody could just rebound the ball, right? Anybody could just average 10 rebounds at 6'9". Even Bron didn't average 10 rebounds. And he got way more athleticism than Larry Bird. This is crazy, bro.
The era you're in a lot of times determines how effective you can be. For example, someone like Mitch Richmond in the 90s, he was a very good player. But Mitch was way ahead of his time with three-point shooting and long-distance shooting. And if Mitch played today, his overall value of a team would be much, much higher than the 1990s because his skill set matches the play style of the current era. And for a lot of NBA fans nowadays, the young fans, all they know is three-point shooting in the current era. And if anything differs from that era slightly, they think it's trash, overrated, and not worth their time. But here's the thing, three-point shooting, what's mainly about is overall volume, not percentage, and the player's skill as shooters. And look, off the bat, I'll admit, players nowadays can shoot three-pointers better than players in the past.
Of course.
But with that being said, the increase in percentage is marginal at best.
That's Petrovic. Drazen Petrovic, RIP. He was nigga. Drazen Petrovic was Drazen Petrovic was a dog. Look at him cook MJ.
The increase in percentage.
Listen, MJ had problems with guards. He had problems with Damon Stoudemire, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. He had problems with shifty guards. He had problems with AI. He had problems with shifty guards. I love Jordan to death as a basketball player. But the truth is, he did have problems with shifty guards. For real, for real.
is marginal at best. And look in the 1980s decade, the first decade of a three-point shot, players in that era on average shot 28% behind the arc, which of course compared to now is not great. But again, those guys at the average three-point shot and the pioneers of that shot. Now the 1990s, the non-shortened line seasons, teams 33.6%, which is respectable. The 2000s, again non-shortened line, 35.6%. The 2010s, again 35.6%, and so for the 2020s, 36.0%. Roughly over a 25-year time period, NBA players, their percentage of shots made from three have increased marginally at best. And of course in the 2000s and 2010s, it stagnated exactly at 35.6%. My overall point being, players shooting basketball, they've always been great shooters regardless of era. The question is though, are they allowed to shoot threes and encouraged to do so?
And the transition in three is what separated me from anyone else back in the 90s.
Yep.
Where Steph Curry and Clay and James Harden, I say, guys, go watch the tape. I was doing it in the 90s where old school basketball was inside out. And analytics, I was doing in the 90s.
A brand new Planet Fitness is opening near you. Join the judgment-free zone.
I hate these fucking ads.
What it comes down to era versus era is shift in play style and overall value. As back in the 90s, what was king? The mid-range jump shot and post scoring.
Exactly. And people don't understand that. Oh, they couldn't shoot. Listen, the game was different. It was inside out. Now it's outside in. That is the difference between this era and the era before. The game was played inside out. Post scoring free throws, and the mid-range shot were the most dominant shots that people were getting or really focused on. The three was if you're wide open, if the shot clock is coming down, you know what I'm saying? Or we had those 3-point shooters like Mark Price, Dragan Petrovic, Dennis Scott. We had a nigga like Craig Hodges, Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Dirk. You know what I'm saying? So you had people that was 3-point shooters, but the majority of the points or the game was inside out. You had the post scoring, like the Kobe's, the MJ's, the Hakeem's, the Shaq's, the I'm saying so on and so forth.
Now in the 2020s, what's king? 3-point shooting. Guys' post-up skills back to basket skills, not great. Their mid-range shooting, also kind of average subpar. But again, for their era, what they value isn't post-up play or mid-range shooting. It's threes. And I'm sure people in the comments are already saying, well, you know, from the 1990s on, evolution took place, humans evolved, and now everyone is superhuman, they're jacked to the gills, and they're all 7 feet tall. Well, first off, human evolution, just on a scientific level, doesn't happen over a 25-30-year time period, even a century's time period. What actually changes is the technology, resources, and stuff around the athletes, not the athletes themselves. So players now in the 2020s, even 2010s, the advantages they have. Guys in the 60s, they didn't have that. And looking back at those eras, back in the 50s, what were they playing on? Dusty floors, dim gyms, and hooping in Chuck Taylors. The 1960s, Bill Russell, sometimes he played 4 straight days in a row, played every single minute. The 1970s, what rims were they playing on? Not breakaway rims, they were unforgiving, and you had to switch the ball to score 2 points. All those eras in varying degrees have tons of obstacles current day players do not have. And if you think the current era is better than the past era, the 2010s, 2000s, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, everyone has their opinion. But what I can't stand, won't tolerate, is someone in the 90s, the 80s, only had one skilled player, that being Jordan. And like Jordan, he was fantastic. But in his era, there were highly skilled players who brought tons to the table. So, as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy.
That's crazy for him to say that. When you can go back and watch Grant Hill, Damon Stoudemire, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, Drazen Petrovic. You can watch Larry Bird. You can watch Magic Johnson. You can watch Stephon Marbury. You can watch so many. I'll give you a name y'all don't know. Rolando Blackman. You can watch somebody like that who cooked Jordan when he was early in the league. It's so many different. Mitch Richmond, that's another one. He just told you about Mitch Richmond. Tim Hardaway. It's so many different skill players. George the Iceman Gervin, bro. Where y'all think y'all got the little finger roll from, bro? It's crazy, man. It's been Who's Hendo, Real Hendo Reactions, Real Hendo Sports and Music. I gotta put that on there. And music. Man, I'm out, man. Peace.